Hello and welcome back to Humble Not Timid. Now, in today's episode, we're going to break down the viral Jubilee interview where everyday people question billionaire attorney John Morgan, the founder of Morgan and Morgan. Now, is John Morgan truly a champion for those in need, or just another wealthy power player using influence for personal gain? Let's see if we can go ahead and get down to the bottom and see the truth through it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you once again. Humble Not Timid. Another voice, another choice.
Getting mad at me, player, but they ain't taking my place. And I'm a misbreed, homie, so they hate my race. Or maybe I'm just ugly, so they hate my face. Either way it go, homie, take the hating away. Now I'm suited in my armor, and I'm just ready to play. So now put me in coach, cause I'm just ready to play. See, I'm so drunk, I ain't going nowhere. I'm so drunk, I'm right here, right here. I'm so
Once I raised the minimum wage here in Florida, all of a sudden, out of the blue, Universal raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I kind of took credit for that. At a certain point, when wages start to rise, businesses have to respond, because if Universal's paying $15, then Disney's got to pay $15, because who cares if you're running Small World or Harry Potter? You're looking for a job.
I want to start this off like this, first of all. So I like watching Jubilee. I do watch a good amount of their stuff. I watch, but this is the thing that cracks me up about this episode. So this episode here, the billionaire is supposed to be for the people, right? This is what we're promoting here, or what he's trying to promote, should I say. So you're for the people, but then they have everybody to his back. I just didn't like the whole setup, the way this interview was set up to begin with. That was one of the first things that struck me. So you take the super rich man, you put him in a room with a bunch of regular people, and the first thing you do is you put them all to his back. You can't even face the people that you're supposedly vouching for, rooting, fighting for. But whatever. Now you see him there. He's talking about how he raised the minimum wage, and they said that he championed legislation that they put in place so they can raise the minimum wage. It's up to $15 an hour now. It passed back in 2020, I believe it was, and it raised. It started at $10 an hour and then raised up a dollar each year up until 2026. So technically, we're still not even at $15 an hour yet, because in 2026 is when it's actually supposed to hit the $15 an hour. Okay, so right now they're probably about $14 an hour minimum wage. Now, this is the thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing to raise people's pay. That's not a bad thing. I don't knock that. When it comes to the minimum wage myself, I feel conflicted on it, because I feel like, if you put mandatory minimum wage, then me as a small business owner, I have an issue with that, only to the fact that, let's say you start a business, minimum wage is $10 an hour. Now, I can't really afford to pay my guys $15 an hour at the moment. So what I do is I turn around, I hire 3 guys at $10 an hour, you know what I'm saying? Let's say I do a remodel business, and then I hire them at $10 an hour, and I start working. I start trying to, build my business. It's going decent, we get through the first year, everything's decent. Everybody's getting their little 40 hours a week, at $400 an hour, or $400 a week, should I say. And you're trying to build, and then all of a sudden minimum wage goes up. Now I do like the way that they incremented it up, instead of just jumping it from 10 to 15, because at least then you can pay in for it. Now, this is another thing too that don't count for you. Now, it's not raises, y'all. That's actually minimum wage going up. So it's not raises. So your job didn't give you a raise, even though they're gonna act like they did. But so they turn around and they do that. Okay. And then, but the bad thing about it is let's say you raise the minimum wage and they can't afford it. So let's say somebody was getting paid $7.50 an hour. I believe in Oklahoma is $7.50 an hour minimum wage still right now. So let's say you can just pay the $7.50. It jumps up to 10, and now you got to pay the difference, and you can't afford it, so you have to end up letting somebody go. Then what do? You know, you have to compensate for it. So it's a plus and a negative because the ones that get to keep their jobs get more paying, and then small businesses that have to let some people go. It's a fact. It has happened. Don't believe me? You don't have to go look it up. A bunch of states when they automatically jump it up. That's one thing. Like I said, I do like that the way they incremented it up. But says that he takes credit for raising the minimum wage and enforcing everybody else to start paying. But in all honesty, too, though, them companies, they're not stupid. They understand, well, look, minimum wage is going to be at $15 an hour here soon. Anyways, we might as well just start paying it anyways, and that way we don't have to worry about it later. Because see, the thing is now we're paying that minimum wage, and then by the time it goes up to 15 in 2026, but when we're still in 2025 right now. But when it goes up, it doesn't matter anyways, because then we can hold off on raises for a while. You've already got your cost of living, so you know. I think it's kind of a play on words or a play on numbers and stuff. But whatever, nonetheless, you know. But I still don't like the fact that the billionaire got his back to these people. It just it cracks me up. Face them face to face. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. You can sit here and be smarter than me and sit face to face with me and conversate with me. You can be richer than me, sit face to face, conversate with me. I mean, we're still all people, right? But this the guy. He's doing his thing. We're gonna take a little bit. I'm gonna take a look at some more of this that he's talking about.
So you mentioned a little bit how you've put money into politics and things like that, and in the current political climate in the United States, our government's run by the billionaires, kind of for the billionaires. What do you think the moral role of a billionaire should be within the United States government?
By and large, the opposite of what it is. These fat cats got so much money, but they want the tax laws to benefit them. Like these hedge fund people don't even pay taxes. And so the billionaires are not satisfied with what they have. They want more and more and more and more. And what my worry is, this income inequality, at some point there's a breaking point. At some point you can become Cuba. And what I would say to these billionaires, you're going to make this gulf so big and so vast just because you don't think it could ever happen in America. Just remember January 6th. Just remember them storming the Capitol. Those were the barbarians at the gate, and they were mad as hell. And you know what they're mad about? They were mad because they think they're going to fall further and further behind. They weren't mad, and they thought Donald Trump was the one that could do it for them. But that's why they stormed the Capitol. And when I saw it, I said, that could be our future.
Now you see Mr. Jacob there. He asked him a question. I find it funny how everybody's always got to throw the January 6th thing in there, and he did, and he put another little twist on it. You know what I'm saying? A twist that I hadn't heard and heard yet, talking about well, they were really mad because they felt like they were going to fall farther behind. Well, and if you haven't sensed it yet, he that Democratic side. But in truth be told, I think he's gonna try to run for governor, and if not governor, something else over there in Florida. But he really trying to make a pay for power. That's just the truth about it. He and he is right. We don't want the gulf to get too big because billionaires are rich. Rich people are super rich. And they don't care nothing about us little peons down here. I mean, you look. I sat there and I remember watching I want to say it was Kanye, and I want to say he was on the Breakfast Club, but I might be wrong. But he did an interview once where he was sitting there trying to explain to them how he was a black man with millions of dollars and he was fighting with Nike. But even at that though, he explained how I got this money and I'm still not nothing to these people. And think about that. Right now, see, you got a lot of these folks, man, that run around and they hood rich. And don't get me wrong, man. You can give me $2, $3 million right now. I'm not gonna be mad at it. You know what I mean? We're gonna be cool and we're gonna keep on pumping. But at the same time, too, though, I understand that we're not on no billions or trillions level. Billionaires are on a whole nother level. And you think about this. This is a billionaire. A billionaire. This guy's got so many hundreds millions that what he ain't. At one point, if you watch the whole episode, at one point he actually tells them, he says, I really don't know how much I'm worth. Can you imagine not knowing how much you worth? Man, I know the change that I have in the sock drawer, you know what I mean? All the way down to the pennies in the accounts. You know what I mean? You can't tell me that I don't know what I'm worth. And you just moving around. But he sit here and he's explaining to him, the gulf is getting bigger. We got to give back. And honestly, to a point, I do agree with that. That's a smart move. You know, now I don't believe you need to give handouts, more opportunities. The raising the pay, that's a good start. I know plenty of people who be happy at minimum wage moving up. Now, then again, that's also people who want to actually work, who want jobs. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these people, they don't want jobs, they just want handouts. So we're not the same. You know, you willing to work and you willing to get that, move the minimum wage up to 15, that's cool. But it's really not the amount of money that we're making that's the issue. The real issue is the cost of things. See, we need to find a way to bring the cost of things down. That way, the money we make already actually feels like something. You know, uh, job that I have right now currently is probably the most money I've made hourly. You know what I'm saying, in a long time. But at the same time too, though, it still kind of equates back out to what I was making 10 years ago when you take the cost of living and everything. So it really make no never mind. I'm decent. I'm not hurting, but at the same time too, though, I ain't rich. So, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there in the same position. You're not hurting. You can afford the little things you want to do and pay the bills and keep the lights on and all that. But at the same time, we not playing on no billionaire status. But the man do got a point about that. Don't let the gulf get too big. I give him that much. Now, the whole January 6th thing that was in there, that's just another way that they come out. And like I said, I give it to him. I applaud you on that. He put a whole twist on there that I hadn't heard. So, he kind of threw him under the bus there. But then at the same time, too, though, hey, I feel you. I understand why you did what you did, you know. But there's a lot more to it than just the money. It wasn't just the money. So let's see exactly how this is going to go now.
You be somebody that would advocate to bring back such a high tax rate in order to redistribute the wealth?
I don't know about 90% because you got to have some motivation. Listen, I am a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, but I also believe we have to do the most for the most with least.
So when you mention capitalism, right? Capitalism is kind of inherently parasitical, right? You're going to always take more from the workers. You're going to put a profit on their labor that they're putting into the business. And I think now we're seeing that capitalism inherently causes these income inequalities. So I think we need to expand those social safety nets. We need to increase taxes on the wealthy in order to allow the poor to enjoy, the things that maybe you enjoyed when you were younger and things like that.
Well, look, I agree with you. And I think it's really for these people who are so rich, they're going to lose it one way or the other if they don't. Because look, the thing about, you got socialism and capitalism. Socialism on paper makes a lot of sense. But then you got to count on everybody working. Will they all work? But in the short run, what we're seeing right now with this big, beautiful bill that they're talking about, we're talking about cutting all sorts of benefits to give more money to the rich and dig our country into trillions of more long-term debt. And I look at it and I scratch my head. The rich should be taxed bigger and harder. And so the reason I'm more for capitalism is because if you go to a socialistic country like France.
France is not socialist.
France is not?
No. You look at, let's say China. We'll give China for example.
China's not. China's communism. I've been to China.
China's not communist.
Huh?
China's not communist. They're run by the Chinese Communist Party, but they're not.
What are they?
They're a socialist country.
Socialist?
Yes. And you look at their infrastructure.
Hey man, I've been to China.
Their wealth inequality, and it's actually pretty good.
Have you ever been to China?
Have I? No.
Let me tell you something. It is the most oppressed country I've ever been to.
Look, no. China is not oppressed. Look at China. China has they have great social safety nets.
You need to go to China and watch the people with their heads down.
This is a completely different China we're talking about. I'm talking
about China today.
I'm talking, yeah. Okay, if we're talking about China today, then no.
Then you have drank the wrong Kool-Aid.
So I mean, I like that. I like that response right there. You drank the wrong Kool-Aid. Y'all kill me, man, how y'all like this socialist mentality. It's like people don't, I mean, like all you got to do, like, okay, so honestly, I think socialism is communism. And in all honesty, communism and socialism is like the ultimate twisted version of capitalism. Because capitalism is, I can go from nobody to somebody and I can become rich and There's a chance. There's always a chance. Me, you, whoever, whatever. You can come up with a good poop idea tomorrow and become super rich. But socialism is pretty much the same thing as communism to me. But at the same time, too, because all they're going to do is they're going to use the state, the power of the state, to turn around and take all the wealth, which in turn is like perverted capitalism. Because they're, instead of creating something, creating a business, or making something, or working for something, they just pretty much say, I'm the state, I'm the power, I'm the president, the king, whatever, and we're going to take all y'all stuff anyways. So I just don't understand everybody's whole, and I get it when you're poor and you don't have nothing. I get it. When you're poor and you don't have nothing, and you look at a rich guy and you say, you know what, you need to help make my life better. I don't feel like anybody need to just come and hand me nothing. I will put in the work. Now, I will tell you like this. I don't want you to give me a fish. Teach me how to fish. So if you made 1 million, then you know what? I want you to teach me how to make my first million. That's what I want. I want you to take me. You know what? If you was to give me any kind of handout, let's put it like this. I would say that's what I would tell you to do. Take me, make me, show me how to make that million. And then from there, boom. And then that would be my handout to the next one. I'm going to show you how to make 1 million, you know? But I'm not about to just give you 1 million. And I don't want you to just give me 1 million, because if you give it to me, then I'll never. Look, if I can make one, I can make two. If I can make two, I can make three. And so on and so on and so on. When I used to run around in the streets with the homies and all that, man, and he showed me once, you had to show me again, you know? But he's sitting there arguing with this man. You ain't never been to China, and then I guess you just watched all the little videos and stuff and said, "Oh man, I like these Chinese." I bet he's got an attraction to Chinese women. That's probably what it is. There ain't nothing wrong with that. You like who you like, but at the same time, too, though, I don't see how you think that it's not communist. Y'all know. I sat there and I was talking to my teachers the other day about the company Sheen, how when they started all this tariff war, Sheen was actually trying to leave because they didn't want to get caught up in the tariff war, and China told them, "No, you're not going nowhere. You have to sit right here." That's a communist state, okay? But and then they sitting there talking about the taxes, so they want to raise the taxes, and then I agree with him, like he said, I don't know about no 90%. Now, if you raise it up, yeah, them rich folks ain't gonna be hurt by it. But at the same time, too, though, if you raise it up to the point to where these companies, these billionaire companies, trillionaire companies, decide that they want to leave America again, that's what they don't understand. The whole point about what they're trying to do is to get these people to bring all these companies back, so then they can create all these jobs again. And I understand in theory, it's still a test. We're about to find out if it's going to work or not. It's only time will tell. But if you bring all these jobs back and you get all these people their jobs back, then people will start being okay. You know what I mean? If your regular guy who doesn't have no schooling, no education, can go work at a manufacturing plant and make 100,000, 150,000. You know what I'm saying? The guys where I work at right now, man, the ones who are topped out on pay, that are seniored out, that are been there for a while, man, they touch 100 over easy every year. You know what I'm saying? Like they look. I was telling the cat the other day, man. I was like, man, I made 70 last year. And he was like, well, oh man, you wait till you top out, man. He said, man, you gonna touch over 100 easy. And that's just and don't get me wrong, you gotta have a little. There's some skill and everything, and certain requirements that go into my job that you gotta keep up with. But at the same time, too, though, it ain't no rocket science. You know, stressful, very stressful sometimes, but it's not no rocket science. You know, so you can make 100 grand, 150 grand, and be a nobody. I remember when I used to work back in the carbon factory, and my guy, I worked with guys that made $200,000 a year. And you look at these guys and be like, man, they dumber than a box of rocks. But you know what? They was able to take care of their families. Food on the table, roof over the head, clothes on the back. Kids can go to school, be okay. You can set up the future for the next ones. That's all we're asking for. That's all they're trying to do. And if the rich people get richer, it is what it is, because they're going to get richer anyways. And then the people who are on the bottom who are going to come up with the ideas to become rich people, they're going to do it either way. See, let this show, let the ideas, the things that I got in play take off. I'm not going to apologize. Let me get to a point to where I can I average $1 million a year. I'm not going to apologize. I know the work that I put in. I know the things that I do. I know the things behind the scenes that nobody else knows about. I get up and I do them every day, even when I'm tired and don't want to do them. So, and I know that there are other people who are more successful than me. I know that there's a lot of things that they do. You see them for 10 seconds. You don't see all the things that they do behind the scenes. And, I get it. When you poor, you want handouts. But I do like that what he said. You drank the wrong Kool-Aid.
Spend it. When you grow up a certain way, it's not like it's changed much in my life. I'm in the same house. I don't spend the money that you would think I'd spend. It's odd because you have all this money in the bank, but it doesn't really change what you do day to day.
My question for you is, what stops you from using your wealth to change somebody's life?
Nothing. Listen, I live 3 places. I live in Florida, I live in Maui, Hawaii, and I live in New Hampshire. But I've taken my wealth and done certain things. Like in Florida where I live, I ran a constitutional amendment twice to legalize medical marijuana. I lost the first time, but I won the second time with 72% of the vote. I believe that income inequality is the #1 issue facing America today. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. And every day the gulf is getting wider. So what did I do? I ran a constitutional amendment. I spent tens of millions of dollars to raise the minimum wage from $8 an hour to $15 an hour in Florida. That's a doubling of the minimum wage. So I take that money that I make and I've run those constitutional amendments and I've put money into food banks and coalition for the homeless, and it goes on and on. And I will tell you this, not to pat me on the back too much about it, because I don't really feel it. I don't really feel it. I was at lunch the other day and this woman walks up to me, she says, "John, I just want to thank you and your wife for the donation you made to iDignity." I didn't know what iDignity was. I said, "How much do we give?" She said, $500,000. It turns out that my wife had given the money. And by the way, if you want money, call my wife. And iDignity is a place for the poorest of the poor to get identification, because more and more in this country, you need to have an identification just to get food stamps.
Now, that cat Frederick on there, something else, let me tell you. But so he sit there and they asked him the premise of the question was pretty much, being a billionaire is to make you feel comfortable. How does it make you feel comfortable? And he was like, he explains to him. So you heard what he was sitting there saying about how he just got his 3 places. Now this is what kills me though, because to a point he tries to act like, well, I didn't really change my living too much. I don't live outside my means. I don't have 3 places. Most your people, average Americans, don't have 3 places. There's a lot of people who are trying to fight just to keep 1 place. So to sit there and act like having 3 places is a normal thing, that kind of threw me off. Now, we're not going to go through the whole interview and the whole episode. Y'all can go watch that on your own. I just wanted to critique it a little bit because I had my own little thoughts about this when I watched it the other day. But then this cat Frederick, like he asked, well, what stops you from changing everybody's life in this room? So I mean, look, billionaire guy, right? And so there is a point inside the interview where he ends up handing Frederick $100. Okay, so and he took it too. Like, I don't know why you even decided you wanted to come to this episode looking like that, because you look like a bum on purpose. You got the raggedy old ass shirt on, and then you don't want to do your hair, no nothing. You showed up like that on purpose. Oh, we're gonna go talk to a rich guy. If I look sad enough, he might give me something. And he gave you $100, and you mad? What you thought he was gonna give you $1,000,000? Get out of here. But so. And then he sits there and he explains to him, all the things I've done, like the idea. Think about that. This man's so rich, they donated $500,000 to iDignity. and didn't even know it. Like he said, he doesn't feel it. He's so rich, he doesn't feel it. So people go, and the wife is just like, "Oh yeah, I'll write you $500,000 check," and you know, who cares? So what? We're gonna go sue somebody else next week and get some more money. You know, but it's a good episode to watch. I just did this one today, so we can let y'all feel how I feel about this little quick thing right here. I got some more things that I'm gonna bring out next week, but I really don't. I can't pinpoint him. So I looked it up, whether or not he's a Democrat. And if you actually go back and look at it, he actually did. He's donated much money to Democrats. He worked on the financial teams for Clinton and Obama, I believe it was, and he actually mentions it inside the episodes as well. But when I looked it up, whether or not he's going to try to run as a Democrat, he's actually trying to start another party. So he wants to start a third party. So they're trying to put him and his lawyers or whatever are trying to put paperwork in order to see it again. It doesn't say what the third party's called yet, but I guess that he doesn't want to go Democrat or Republican, so he wants to try to start a third party and get them to vote like that. So he is going to step into the political arena. So here in the future, y'all gonna see another billionaire. Cause see, they keep on talking about all the rich people are running everything. Well, here goes you another one. So he's going to step into the political arena, and you're going to see him try to run for something somewhere. And he's doing all the things that he's doing now is setting up the premise. That's the way I feel about it, to step out into the political arena. And who's to say it won't be 2030, running for the president, 2028, whatever it is, trying to run for president. Might run for governor. Really don't know. So keep y'all eyes open for that. But nonetheless, I don't need nobody just to give me a handout. Hand up and a handout is two different things. Come help me. If I don't know the way, help show me the way. I will be a grateful student. If I can help you along the way, I will help you along the way. I won't give you nothing, but I will help you. My old man growing up, he gave me a few things, but he didn't give me much. But one thing he did always did was he gave me a chance to earn. And I do appreciate him for that, because it taught me a lot about my own character. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end this one tonight. And God bless y'all. Have a good day. Humble Not Timid. Like, subscribe, share. Another voice, another choice.
Getting mad at me, player, but they ain't taking my place. And I'm a misbreed, homie, so they hate my race. Or maybe I'm just ugly, so they hate my face. Either way it go, homie, take the hating away. Now I'm suited in my armor, and I'm just ready to play. So now put me in coach, cause I'm just ready to play. See, I told